sometimes dead is better.
I should say, we went into this expecting the worst. And I will be the first to admit, after seeing that god-awful trailer 20 or 30 times now, I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, I didn't think it was that bad.
No.
I think it's going to be 50-50, pretty much cut between a lot of people.
I do too. And we have to apologize ahead of time. We're both not feeling well. He has laryngitis. I have something. So this is going to be a little rough, but we're going to go through it anyway. And we're going to assume that most people watching this have a general understanding of what Pet Sematary is, or have seen the first one. So if you haven't seen anything and you haven't seen the trailers, which spoil some of the movie, then don't listen to this. So we got to start this off right. Pet Sematary. The movie that shocked me to the core when I was a kid. When I saw this movie growing up, I saw it through a sliding door. Remember those? The sliding doors from the 70s and 80s? Yeah. The kids would smash their fingers in them. I did, I don't know, 20 times probably. I sat on the stairs and watched through a sliding door as my parents put on Pet Sematary for the first time. I watched the entire movie. I cried. I cried repeatedly when the cat died and the boy. And it scarred me for a while because I think everyone that was in the 80s, 90s, that was younger or a kid remembers this movie for what it was. Shocking. It was a taboo movie to show children getting killed.
You know what was weird though for me? After seeing this movie, that I didn't remember as much as I thought I did from the first Pet Sematary.
Oh, well, see, I cheated.
Especially that ending.
I watched it. I recently watched the first one. And as many know, it's not survived well over the last, I don't know how many, 20 years? What's it been? And it is, still has the tremendous grief and touching moments that made it what it was, and the suspense and some of the gruesome, gory kind of horror that was mixed in. But it did have a lot of plot holes that the internet has eviscerated over the last God knows how long, and it had some really bad acting. Horrible acting.
Well, these are like two totally separate different movies. The first one is an entertaining 80s hokey, almost like there's comical moments in.
But it was remember, it was the horror of the day, though. That's the way Stephen King movies used to be.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of his were like that. I mean, there's countless ones you could say were goofy and hokey, but tried to be scary.
What in the dickens is going on around here?
A lot of people have directed Stephen King novels and stories. And I finally decided if you want something done right, you ought to do it yourself.
You know?
Yeah, no, this one's way more dark, way more demonic, though.
Yeah. This one fixed a lot of those problems.
Yeah.
It fixed the plot holes. It made it more polished. You had better actors. You had better actresses. Everything they did with this, if you're a fan of the original, I can tell you right now, you'll love this. Because they took what didn't work and what people didn't like with the first one and flipped it around. This movie, let's start with this, is sort of like not a reboot, like we've been seeing constantly. We've been seeing reboot after reboot and changes like Ghostbusters and all that nonsense. They took this and did an actual remake. If you know the original movie, you know this. It's going to be very similar. But what I liked about it is what I said earlier. They polished it. They made the rough parts better. They made the acting better. The horror felt more genuine in this to me. It wasn't crazy off the wall goofy and stuff at times.
Oh, yeah. You feel like there's a demonic possession going on for sure.
And demons have a big part in this. And spirituality and religion play a part in this too.
Yeah. There's definitely jump scares in there. But they used the cinematography
was
and the
sparing.
sound, and
Yeah.
the music, which just really leads up slowly to
Yeah,
it.
it was sparing jump scares. It's
Yeah.
not like it went crazy.
I mean, really, there wasn't a whole lot of scares. There was
No.
like maybe 3 or 4 throughout the entire movie.
That's a good point. Don't go into this expecting a horror movie like The Conjuring. This isn't like that. So like you said, it was low on scares in the beginning. They had a lot of jump scares jumping out at you. They had a lot of suspense that built up. But the second half of the movie, I must say, if we're going to talk about this in a breakdown, we'll start with the movie itself first. I felt like the first part of the movie
Yes, definitely.
built up the lore
I already know where you're going.
and was very methodical in telling you what the Pet Sematary was. It wanted to teach you who they were. You got to know the characters real well, but it did seem to drag
It was a
on.
little slow paced.
But I'm just thinking that they could have livened up the first half more. I think they're going to lose some people with the first half of this movie. It was a lot of exposition, history talk, and characters just doing their own thing, like talking. I can see a lot of people being bored during that. But the second half, the wheels come off. Eventually, at the probably at the 2/3 part of the movie, the wheels come off and it starts getting crazy.
Yeah.
They don't hesitate to kill characters or anybody in this movie. So
I mean, it definitely takes the horror level up a notch.
yeah,
The gory level
yeah,
with the ankle slashing,
yeah. From the trailer,
everything
yeah.
basically that was horrifying in the first movie is times 5 to 10 in this one.
Yep. The parts that make this movie great are the characters, the boy and the girl and the cat. They are central to this movie, and they had to pick someone that could do a good job.
And you know what I felt? I felt like the cat was more central to this movie than in the first. I mean, there was more of the cat in the first, but I felt like the cat in this movie was almost playing like one of the first demons there, and he was almost like orchestrating the
Yeah,
whole
it
thing.
did feel like the
Times.
cat was more involved this time around instead of just coming out of nowhere.
Because
and,
in
like,
the
jumping
first
on
one,
people.
I think he killed the cat in the beginning because he actually injects him.
Right, and kills.
Where in
Yeah,
this
that's
one,
right.
he doesn't
That's
inject
it.
him.
It's the injection.
And the cat's one of the last things you see of the movie.
I mean, it's the cat in this. I think they used 5 cats. They said, and one of them didn't work out, so they ended up with 4 cats. But they really picked the right cat for this movie because it wasn't the soft, plushy, cuddly church
I
that
don't
we
know, it looked
remember.
pretty cuddly to me.
It became a crazy, wild, demonic one, and I loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, and they kept it realistic. They didn't have like this crazy eyes and all this stuff. The cat was just super evil and dangerous suddenly. They set up everything right. They set up the neighbor. They set up the house. They set up the wilderness, the job, the doctor being at the hospital. All this stuff. They set it up just right. And it felt like a real cohesive movie to where everything fell into place.
This movie deals a lot about death.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of disturbing scenes in the movie. You know, the accident,
Right.
the burial. Some things here are just kind of hard to take. I don't know if you felt that.
Oh, I felt that from the first time around. When I was a kid, I felt that way. And seeing it happen again wasn't quite as damaging as it was the first time because I've seen so much more now as an adult. But it still had, as a parent of 2 small boys, it still had a lot of feelings, and the grief hits you when it starts going down. The characters are being hit with it. You feel it. They did that with the cinematography too. They had cameras that would shoot things in first person so that you had a direct view of what the character was seeing. It put you in their place, and man, that was effective. They have a lot of effective camera work and sound design and everything in this, and it, once again, really spectacular.
It really added to
No
the movie.
CGI needed, nothing. It was just, they would just roll out a dolly, and you would just be focused on going around a truck, and you would see a body. And they did it so well, it made you feel like you were there. And I love that part of this movie. if I was going to say some of the negatives, I would have to start with the actors. Jason Clarke as Lewis. Now, I will give him 1,000 points for taking over for what was his name? Dale Midkiff from the original. He was so much more likable and so much better of an actor by far. And I hate to dog on the original, but that was one of the weakest moments, was the wife and the husband. I mean, Denise Crosby was a Star Trek girl. I mean, she was about the only thing that between the adults that held up in the first one. Yeah. Fred Gwynne, though, you had his replacement, John Lithgow,
which I thought he did good.
I thought John did good too.
He just
was it the same?
I thought he was a bigger part of this movie.
Yeah.
Than what he was going to be.
I think
he was there, but
he was sparing.
Yeah,
I wanted to see more of him.
I wanted more of him.
What did we do tonight, Jud?
What we did, Lois, was a secret.
Little boy Gage.
There's not really
the original Gage, Miko. What was his name? Miko Hughes was perfect for the role. He was the best child actor I'd ever seen when I was a kid. I was like, when I saw that kid, what happened to him in the first Pet Sematary, I was devastated because he was the most adorable, cute little kid I'd ever seen in a movie.
And you know the kid in this movie, though, he does kind of look a little bit like him.
He does. They did a good job. Hugo,
look like him.
It's twins, Lucas and Hugo. They did a great job. He was very believable. Felt like a little toddler that was scared. He didn't know what to do, and it felt pretty believable. The girl, Jette Lawrence.
I thought she did.
I haven't seen her very often, but she looked familiar. I think she did a phenomenal job. She took over kind of a main role.
Yeah, I mean, she took on
She had
two
a
roles.
dual role in this. I can't say too much, but it felt like she took over the lead, because here's the biggest problem I had was Jason Clarke. And even though he did a lot better as Lewis, his reactions and the way he seemed during parts of the movie where you should have been devastated, and he should have been putting all the stops on him being emotional and screaming and crying. He kind of was just kind of quiet, and he'd do that stare he does. And I mean, remember him from Terminator Genesis?
You're my son? Our son?
I'm glad you finally know. I have waited my whole life to tell you. For us to be together. Now we can win this. I know.
Pops. No, it's okay. He's with me. What are you doing?
John!
Pops!
Yeah, and I felt like
Similar.
to me, I felt like he did a good job.
He did a good job.
And to me, at the emotions, I thought he was fine. I felt like, the cries, his eyes were watery the whole time. But there is a problem I had with all the actors. And it's just a small one. But it just seemed like the dialogue was always given, and I shouldn't even be the one saying this right now, but in a whispery, quiet tone.
Oh, yes. The movie tone of horror movies.
Yeah, and it just, sometimes it was a little distracting for me.
Yeah.
But I thought all the actors did a good job, definitely acceptable in passing. I wish there was a little more, I guess, maybe emotion shown.
Going back to camera work, there was another thing they did right in this movie. Dark shots. The shots inside the house, in the basement, and outside at night and all that kind of stuff was handled real well, because
it's dark.
It was dark, but you could still see main objects.
Exactly.
Like the lighting was real good.
They knew how to place the lighting so that you see everything, even though it's a dark scene.
And the music was pretty good. The
music, I thought, was one of the highlights of the movie.
It kept me going. It was at moments where I was really tense, it would just kick up suddenly.
And that's where it actually reminded me of the 80s, because it had that 80s, it's just the piano. There's not really much more else to it.
Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding,
well, and the best part was when it went dead silent. Yeah. They had a few moments in this movie where it just went dead silent, and you could hear a pin drop in our theater, probably because it was empty. Something bad's coming. And boy, that silence is so well placed in this movie. That's what it is. Sometimes silence is just as good as a great song. And they did that well in this. The two directors, from what I've read, have worked together on a lot of different horror movies in the past. I don't even know this guy's name. It's Kevin Kolsch, I think, and Dennis Widmyer. So I didn't know what to expect when I saw this. I was like, oh gosh, these guys might be kind of TV level or B-movie level or something. But after seeing this, I think I want to see them do some more. I want to see them do some more Stephen King movies or something. I mean, there's plenty of stuff out there. Michael Crichton, Stephen King, there's plenty of things they could do if they want to do reboots like this. Or I'm sorry, remakes. There's plenty of work for them. So is there anything negative about the movie you didn't like?
Honestly, if I'm just going negative, about the only thing I really had was just the slow beginning.
Yeah.
It needed a little more at the front.
A little more juice.
Yeah, just a little more at the front. Other than that, the scares, I actually wanted a scary movie. To me, this movie was how Stephen King probably actually envisioned it when he wrote the book, I think. More than kind of the hokey first one from the 80s.
Yeah.
I think this one
captured what
it's really valid. I think it's a real good movie. You know,
I think it captured what he was going for. If I had to go with a couple negatives, one is a biggie, and I know that some people are going to feel this way as well. It's technically a remake. So the bad part is you're going to know ahead of time what's going to be happening. In fact, you'll probably know what the ending is.
You know,
and that is disappointing.
That can disappoint some people sometimes. To me, honestly, I saw the first one so long ago.
It was neat. It was nice to be able to relive it.
I was actually shocked at the ending. I was like,
yeah.
Is that how it ended?
Yeah, it stayed true. It went farther, which was nice. It went farther in a lot of things. A lot of the stuff that you wanted to see more of in the first one, you got more of in this. You got more explanation. You got more idea of what was going on, and the ending was extended from the first one as well. It felt like so. I like the direction they took this. In fact, they could do a sequel very easily.
Yeah,
a better one than Pet Sematary 2.
Scary say.
That's a horror movie. You want to see horror? True horror? Watch that movie. That'll freak you out for life. Jesus, that movie is terrible. This movie does use the horror cliches. Some of them. But the best part is, it subverts your idea of what they are. When you go in to see a cliche coming, like the medicine cabinet opening, they take it in a new way that you're not expecting. And that's what's great about it.
Yeah, that's why I like that scene.
Yeah.
That was one of the better scenes of
the
movie.
They subvert little things that you think are coming, like the whole open the door, and you think, oh, here comes something, and nothing happens. Or the guy, the stairs, you're going upstairs, and you expect someone to come out, but no one does. But then something weird happens that is unexpected.
When you think something's going to happen.
Yes.
Because there's that one scene with John Lithgow.
Yep.
You think it's coming.
And that's what makes a great movie.
And then that's not where it happens.
Remake is when you can take things that you expect. The audience is going to be like, oh, I know this is going to happen. I know how this is going to end. And completely throw them for a loop a few times.
They threw me for
that's what it did.
5 or 6 loops in there.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I appreciate the fact they put a lot of work into trying to make things different and better and fix the original. That's a lot of what they did.
Yeah.
And so we looked at a movie that built upon the crap of the old one and made it more polished.
This is going to go 2 different ways. You're going to be part of the audience that liked the first one, loved it.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
And hate
you're
the way they went.
No, you're not going to hate it. You're going to like it as a horror movie.
Yeah.
Maybe just as much. But if you really enjoy this one, which I think a lot of people will too, the first one, maybe a little hokey for you. But at the same time, I like hokey too. Yeah. So
They did keep some of the fun parts. They kept the signs. I saw a couple little Easter eggs in the movie. Dairy. Remember the sign for dairy and all that kind of stuff? There are little touches like that show you that Stephen King's still the driving force behind this. And it had a little bit of new, like Stranger Things vibes. And they borrowed a few different ideas here and there.
There were some in there too.
Yeah, another great, semi-great remake, yeah. And even with that one, that is a way to put this is similar to It. You knew what was going to happen in It, but they took it in weirder ways that you weren't expecting. And they did the same thing with this. In fact, that's a perfect way to put it. So Larry, this demonic cat-ridden movie, what is your final review on it?
My final thought on this one is it's definitely an acceptable remake. It goes a little beyond the first one. It's more horror. I can see, like I said before, where there's going to be two different segments. You're going to have the people that love the first one, that like this one. You're not going to hate it. And you're going to have the people who like the first one and love this one. And I thought it was a really good movie. I love horror. So to me, I'm going to go ahead and give this one B+.
B+, that's pretty good. Pretty darn good. It would have crossed into that B+ territory for me if it had been a little more original, but I know they had to stick to the original book format and the original movie format. I would have to say, honestly, I would give it a B. Just a straight B. It was a good movie. It wasn't excellent. It had a few little issues here and there, but I think all in all, it was worth seeing, and I highly recommend it.
Would you watch it again?
I would definitely watch it again.
That's always a good sign, because I would too.
Yep. And that's probably the highest praise we can give a movie nowadays.
Exactly.
So,
rewatchability is number one with me.
Yeah.
You know.
So I would highly recommend this. And if you haven't seen it yet, definitely check out Shazam. We did a full review of that 2 weeks ago. So I'll have a link in here for you for that as well. Make sure to check that out. And Larry, I'm going to go ahead and take it over since you're not feeling well. So everybody, thank you for once again tuning in with us. Please like, share, and get us up to 500. We're heading that way right now.
And please pray for my voice.
Kamish, that head wound, it's got to be taking its toll because you are making 0 sense.
Yes, pray for Larry that he gets better soon because we need him back to full strength for the next review.